for 2. Kickers are extra, I give them the boot. Ooh, going for 2. Sit back, relax while I grab me a brew. Ooh, now I'm reclining while putting my time and I'm ready to go. My spine is aligning and much my lineups, my bank account grow. I am so rich, but knowledge is all that I'm leaving it with. Ooh, listen to this, multiple options, how far can I get? Ooh, DFS Dynasty redraft tonight, I'm not finishing last. I'm finishing past any and all, I am looking to last. What else? This spot is popping and I am so locked in and only opening the door when it is opportunity knocking. And all of these spots keep on talking and talking. So what are we talking? What kind of alignment? And running it deep, even players forgotten or came from the bottom or hitting that top end. And this spot is popping, yeah, this spot is popping. And woo! This is the Armchair, yeah. Put up your arms, yeah. Sound the alarm, yeah, yeah, yeah. Woo! This is the Armchair, yeah. Put up your arms, yeah. Sound the alarm, yeah, yeah, yeah. Woo!
What is going on, guys, and welcome to episode 251 of the Armchair Fantasy Show. I'm your host, of course, Jeff Lambert, and follow me on Twitter at JeffLambert77. We are, of course, presented by Going for Two Live Podcast Network, and we're here every Wednesday night on Facebook Live, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch, on all major podcast networks, and in the Go for Two app for iOS and Android. If you are on Twitter right now, our Twitter comments are not working, so if you can go find us over on YouTube and make sure to hit that subscribe button, we would much appreciate it. Introduce my co-host, Mr. Ryan Searfoss. What's up, Ryan?
Nothing, man. I'm so excited to be here co-hosting for the 163rd most accurate ranker on Fantasy Pros.
You saw that on Twitter, huh? Yeah, that was pretty funny. Someone trying to call me out for my ranking on Twitter, trying to troll me a little bit, and I sort of gave it back to him. So go look that up on my timeline if you're on Twitter right now, because yeah, that was a funny interaction today. All right, our guest tonight, we are actually -1 of the Good Old Boys Fantasy Football Podcast. Alex couldn't make it, but we do have Kevin and Derek. What's up, guys?
How y'all doing? Appreciate y'all having us. It's always a blast getting to talk with y'all.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Let's go on. That intro is hot.
You like that?
That intro is awesome, man.
Yeah, our boy Gabe hooked that up. I don't know if y'all know FF Man Bun on Twitter. He does those intros for a lot of shows, and he did mine just recently, and it's pretty hot. I love it. So Derek, man, I got to ask you, you just had a baby recently, right, man?
That's true. The less than a week.
Less than a week, man. How are you doing this?
Well, the show must go on, right? So baby's doing good, mom's doing good. We got everybody home, and everybody's happy and healthy. So on to the grind continues. Good stuff.
So kind of give us an idea of what y'all do in the fantasy space. Let the listeners know what y'all do.
Kevin, you want to go ahead and rock that one?
Yeah, sure.
Fill in any details?
Yeah, so we run a weekly podcast Tuesday nights. You can catch that on YouTube. We have a Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Kind of Derek runs all the socials for us, but it's all linked up through there. So run that weekly. Once the season starts and we get into football season, we run a Friday night special, kind of it's more of a wagering type deal. We start looking at spreads of the games, the over-unders, kind of what we like, what we don't. And then on Sundays, pregame, do a quick little start-sit session for everybody before games start on Sundays. So right now is definitely slower as far as show volume, but it gives us the time to kind of work on some content, work on the web page, get some rankings up to date, look on some pre-draft work, and see how these rookies are going to look. So that way we can try and keep up with the big boys like you.
There you go.
Good stuff. And for the audio folks out there, I don't know if you gave the Twitter handle or not. You can follow them at Good Old Boys FF. Make sure you follow them. I've been following these guys for a while. They're a great follow. Make sure you check them out.
I appreciate that. You can also find our audio work through just about any podcast platform out there. We're out there, Good Old Boys Fantasy Football Podcast. And I'm pretty sure we're listed on every major audio podcast that you could possibly imagine.
Good stuff. All right, let's get to the 5-101s.
And now the 101s.
All right, y'all know how this works. 5 categories here. You're going to give me your 101 of each category. The first category is adult beverage. I'm going to go to you first, Kevin.
Right now I'm into whiskey sours, man. I don't know why, but I just keep downing those suckers like water right now.
Nice. I've actually just recently started drinking whiskey. It was a big thing. So we did this the same segment during the season, and the old fashioned was the most popular one. And I kept saying I was going to try one. So finally on Christmas with my father-in-law, he made me one. It was my first one I ever had. So pretty good. So I'm gonna have to try that again soon.
Absolutely.
Derek, what you got for your favorite adult beverage?
I'm going to stay in the whiskey family and go Scotch.
Nice. Now, do y'all drink on the show?
It depends on the night. Most of the time, I don't. I'm not a big drinker as it is, but.
Gotcha. Yeah, I usually have at least one beer on the show at least, and Ryan has occasionally had a little bit too much to drink, but we won't.
No one ever knows. I don't ever disclose what's in this water bottle. Here. Like it is a bottle. There are liquid contents in it. I am not going to.
It's only draft night that I get a little bit frisky.
Yeah, draft night is a 4-hour podcast, and
right. Like by pick 20, I don't even know what's going on.
By the end, I'm like, Ryan, wake up, you're on.
Yeah, dude.
Well, by that time, you're deep into it, and at that point, the grind has really kicked in.
Yeah,
dude, yeah, like 3 hours in, like drank half a fifth last year, a little bit more. Yeah, I was done.
Yeah, he was definitely done.
It's all Jeff's fault.
All my fault. All right, let's go 101 movie villain. We'll go to you first this time, Derek.
Movie villain for the 101? Man, that's always a tough one because you've got so many just like great options out there. But you know what? Let's just stick with some of these classics and go with like the Disney one and go like Cruella de Vil. Like, how can you that somebody that hates dogs? Absolutely. Like that's the absolute 101 of any movie villain.
Nice. Did you see the live action one? The one just came out just recently. I just watched that actually on Christmas Day, drinking my passion. Yeah, exactly. It was actually pretty good. I watched it with my family, drinking my first old fashioned that night. It was pretty good. Kevin, what do you got for your 101 movie villain?
My 101, it's Heath Ledger's Joker.
Oh, that's mine.
I just cannot get enough of that movie. I will always watch it if it's on. And the performance and the believability that he does for that character is just off the charts.
Yeah, that is definitely my 101 as well. My favorite scene is when he makes the pencil disappear. That's my favorite scene in that movie. I love it. It was so unexpected the first time I saw it too. Just throw his head on the ground. That was awesome. Right. All right, 101 guilty pleasure, TV show, movie, music artist, etc. We'll go to you first, Kevin.
Ooh, right now, the guilty pleasure is I've been binging Blacklist on Netflix. And I'm on the final season, thank God, because I'm ready to move to something else. But that has been my guilty pleasure lately. I've been binging the crap out of that show.
Good shit. What about you, Derek?
Also a TV show that I have rewatching for probably the umpteenth time at this point, and that's Psych. Can never get enough of the antics of Sean and Gus. So absolutely just need to tune in, space out.
I've never watched that one.
Yeah, see, I've never watched it, but I have seen some clips on TikTok when I'm scrolling through, and it actually looks pretty good. I may have to go check that out.
Yeah,
Jeff, you're too old for TikTok.
Too old for TikTok. Never too old for TikTok. All right, this one's a new one for us, and hey Ryan, I'm gonna ask you this one too. We haven't done this one yet, so be thinking about it real quick. We'll go to you first, Kevin. 101 fictional character you would like to meet in real life.
Oh.
I think you're on mute.
Just like my home show. Samwise Gamgee from Lord of the Rings. Just to smack him around a little bit and ask, why are you such a pansy, man? Like, what's your deal?
I like it. What about you, Derek?
They call me Bond. James Bond.
Nice. Is there a certain one that you like, or is it just Bond in general, the character?
Bond in general, the character, but probably the Daniel Craig version of it. I'm a big fan of the last few versions of the Bond series.
Good stuff. Ryan, were you able to think of one? I know I kind of put you on the spot here.
Yeah, really put me on the spot on this, but I'm going out of completely left field because I love shenanigans, and I feel like partying with Peter Griffin would be a hilarious time. There would be so much trouble to get into.
Yes, that would be awesome. All right, last one here. Your 101 superpower, if you could pick one to have for yourself, Kevin.
Ooh,
Don't be perverts.
No, I think I'd want to be able to kind of control people's minds, like the whole Charles Xavier thing. Like,
Nice.
Flying's too common for me, but I think to have the ability to tell you this is what you're going to think and say, that'd be pretty dope.
That would be pretty dope. What about you, Derek?
Yeah, there's two, and this is one I kind of went back and forth on, right? The ability to be kind of that all-knowing, know everything in there and have the ability to know what's going to happen before it happens. The other one would be the invisibility type of thing. So both of those are there, but I think I'm going to lean more towards the invisibility thing, just from the standpoint that you're still able to be surprised at that point. Plus, I'd be the hide and seek champion.
Good shit. All right. So tonight, what we're going to do, guys, is we're going to do a free agent mock draft here. I listed all the free agents coming up. It's not a great free agent class this year, but I do think there's a few good players there that we can talk about for fantasy points. But before we get to the mock draft, let me tell you about Underdog Fantasy. It's fantasy football, but with no waivers, no lineups, and no worrying about injuries. With their best ball leagues, you get to do the fun part, and that's draft. It's like a mock draft you can win money from. Download the Underdog Fantasy app for iOS or Android. Use our promo code GF2 to get a 100% deposit match up to $100. If you sign up now, you can join one of our Going for Two leagues for as low as $3. Again, get the app for iOS or Android. Use promo code GF2 and get your deposit match.
Attention, everyone. Let's mock draft.
All right, we're going to do a couple rounds here. We're just going to go around the room. We'll start with you, Derek. You get the 101. I think you have probably the easiest pick on the board here, but go ahead and give us your 101 here.
Yeah, if you had anybody other than Devonte Adams here, you were just plain wrong. So that's where we're going here is Devonte Adams.
Damn, I fell attack. Just kidding.
yeah, that's the easiest one on here. I actually did a poll with this, and I had to actually say who is the 102 because everyone would have picked the 101 would have been Devonte Adams for sure. So at the 102, Kevin, you got a little bit more of a choice here. Who are you going with the 102 here?
At the 102, I'm going Chris Godwin. I legit young number one still, so I'm going to settle in there so I can keep him around for a while.
Gotcha. Now, one thing I forgot to say, and I'll go back to you, Derek. Where do you want them to land? You want him back in Green Bay?
I want him back in Green Bay if Aaron Rodgers is there, and if not, I want to see him settle in with yet another good quarterback that's going to feature him and key in on him and all of that good stuff. So if not there, it gets tough at that point.
Wherever Rodgers goes, right?
Basically. Yeah, wherever Rodgers goes, that would really kind of be my thought there.
Good stuff. Kevin, what about you? Where do you want Chris Godwin to land?
Ooh, I like the idea of Chris Godwin to the NFC North, but I'm thinking more along the lines of the Lions or Bears. Either one, I think that'd be good usage out of a number one receiver.
Yeah.
Yeah, remember Allen Robinson?
Yeah, take over Allen Robinson.
We got a new coach. That's all right.
All right, Ryan, you got the 103 here. Give us your 103 pick.
Yikes. I am going to go Mike Williams. I think he really showed up this year. I don't know if he's really a wide receiver. Well, we may have been tricked a little bit, but he still has that red zone potential and is a hell of a wide receiver. Ideal thing is him to stay on Chargers. If he was to go somewhere else, weirdly and gross as it sounds, I wouldn't mind seeing being somewhere like Detroit to be there, in fact, at number one with Ross St. Brown, because I think he could dominate volume there with him and not get too much doubled.
Yeah, I agree. And Goff is one of those quarterbacks that will just keep throwing you the ball, even if you're covered, and he'll throw a few picks in the process.
Or send him wherever Jameis goes. I'm cool with that too.
Yeah, it's a good call. All right, back around here. We'll go with we're going to call it round two here. The 201. Derek, what you got for the 201? 201.
I'm going to go with a guy that's coming off of a down year. certainly probably the worst in his entire career, minus an ACL injury early on in it, and that's going to be Allen Robinson. And again, I like, kind of keep him in that division, moving him up there to Detroit for the same reasons that you were just talking about there with Amon-Ra St. Brown. The fact that, you now allow Amon-Ra St. Brown to still have a guy that's going to be able to take the pressure off and still allow him to do his thing. But if not, I wouldn't mind seeing him, again, head to a quarterback that's going to, really kind of force the ball, get the ball to him. And we've seen some of these quarterbacks do that. And I would want to pair him with a young quarterback, such as like a Zach Wilson with the Jets. I think that could be some very interesting dynamics playing out there.
Man, you must hate Allen Robinson. So he's Jacksonville, Chicago, and you're sending him to the Jets next.
Well, so here's the thought process around that, right? We saw Zach Wilson key in heavily on one Mr. Corey Davis. Allen Robinson is certainly a better version of what Corey Davis is able to do, and better skill sets, better all around on that, cleaner route running, better hands, you name it, better overall receiver there. And at that point, I think he fills in for that role there. And at that point, we've seen what Allen Robinson can do if you're going to force feed him 10 targets a game.
Yep. The same thing with Trubisky when he had Trubisky there. He just force fed him. All right. It's getting a little interesting now here. So now we're at the 202 here. Kevin, what you got here at the 202?
I'm going to go with Melvin Gordon at the 202. Like the guy gets a bad rap because he's not the true bell cow in any system anymore. But what he does is score touchdowns.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So I want a guy with the nose for the end zone, even if he's not carrying it as much between the 20s. He's sure-handed enough that he gets it inside the 5 constantly. So give me the touchdown upside of Gordon.
All right. Are you keeping him in Denver?
I'd like to keep him in Denver for one more year. I don't have any problem with Devonte Williams. I think he can be, this amazing workhorse back that we all kind of expect him to build into. But I like the combination between the two. Having those guys 1A and 1B, defense never quite knows what's going to hit him. And by the end of the game, you let Williams take over and just truck people.
Yeah, I think you just pissed off every Devonte Williams owner in fantasy right now because we all want with Melvin Gordon gone.
It's okay. We're Broncos fans, and we're wanting to see what's better off for the on-field production there.
There you go. All right, Ryan, you got the 203.
I'm picking Dalton Schultz. Dude, Schultz looked so freaking good this year before he went down. He was really, really consistent tight end play. Like, he's borderline top 5 at all time, and I have no problem keeping him there. And I think he does well wherever he goes. Dallas is obviously great because he has a connection with Dak, but anywhere he goes, he's going to be a main target because quarterbacks go to the tight end. So I'm pretty happy with adding any landing spot for him.
Yeah, I think if I'm not mistaken, Zach Ertz is on this list. If he was to go somewhere else, I would love to see Schultz go to the Cardinals. I think that would be a perfect landing spot for him. You don't think so? You don't think Schultz?
No, because they spread the ball out too much.
But look at Ertz's numbers down the stretch there. I mean, he was doing pretty well.
How about him for the Chargers?
Chargers would be good. Yeah.
Give Herbert a tight end finally who's athletic. It'd be awesome.
Yeah, that would be a good call as well. All right, we're up at the 301, Derek.
I'm going to take a guy like Rashad Penny right here, right? A guy that's early draft capital, didn't necessarily pan out early on in his career, showed some amazing flashes down the stretch here. And a team that I would like to see him go to is a team that we saw significant struggles at the running back position this last year, and that's going to be the Atlanta Falcons. I think doing that, you're able to now make that offense a little bit more dynamic. You can even keep running Cordell Patterson the way that he was being utilized as kind of that offensive weapon, move him inside, move him outside, let him take some snaps out of the backfield. But you've got Rashad Penny there able to really carry a lot of the workload and do some of the between the tackles work.
Yeah, Penny really did come on a lot last year, and he's been a guy that can't stay on the field. If he can stay healthy, he's definitely a great pickup right there. You can probably get him for pretty cheap right now with his injury history. 302, Kevin.
I'm going to go with Leonard Fournette, and I think I'd like to see him in South Beach. Have him go to Miami. He can stay in Florida. He can kind of give that offense a little bit of balance as Tua is still the starting quarterback there, but it should bring some safeties down in the box trying to tackle a big-bodied Fournette, which will allow Tua to find Jalen Waddle even more so than what he did his rookie season.
Yeah, that's a good call there. I think that would be like the perfect match.
That's a really good landing spot.
Yep, 100%. All right, Ryan, you got the 303.
I am taking Christian Kirk. I mean, he had the quietest, almost 1,000 yards. He had 982 yards this year, and nobody really talked about it. On an offense that spreads the ball around as well as anybody. I think he's going to be a gem in free agency because what he brings, all different levels, run different routes. They can use him kind of that weapon role because he's so good after the catch. I like him in Philly. I think him and Devonta Smith would be nice combination with their separation and be able to create over top with Smith and him underneath would give Jalen Hurts a lot to work with and kind of fill in what he does well at.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Christian Kirk was one of those guys that I had pegged for a breakout, and I think he did kind of break out, but no one talked about it. You're right.
I said 982 yards, 5 touchdowns on 103 targets. That's pretty solid, man.
Yeah, pretty solid.
On a team that literally had, 6 guys with 50 targets or something like that?
Yep.
Or 5 guys with 50 targets? He did really well.
All right, we're up to round 4, 401, Derek.
401. Let's go ahead and take a guy like a Rob Gronkowski right there, right? You got the name power. You've got a lot of that good stuff going on there. And I know that that you picked Schultz. There was some talk on Schultz and the Cardinals a little bit earlier, but I think it would be a great landing spot for him, right? Give Kyler yet another big body target in the red zone that he could target there. And, again, high dynamic offense with Gronk's touchdown ability. Love the fantasy output possibilities there.
Yeah, as a Kyler Murray owner, I kind of saw their struggles in the red zone once they lost DeAndre Hopkins. I think Gronkowski would fix that problem for sure, give them a big target in the red zone. I like that landing spot. All right, we're up to the 402, Kevin.
Juju Smith-Schuster. He's going back to Cali with the 49ers. Have him pair up with Debo. Brandon Ayuk just hadn't, this past year, what a disappointment, guys, right? Like people were drafting him in round 4, maybe round 5 and thinking you were lucky to get him. And then the dude totally flamed out. But we've seen what Juju can do when he's not the alpha, and he wouldn't be in San Francisco. And you'd have enough speed on that field all the way around that I think Juju could make a big splash out in San Francisco.
Yeah, it's crazy, that Ayuk thing. They were drafting him over Deebo Samuel. Now it seems like crazy, but yeah, he was being drafted higher than Deebo.
I wonder what show said do the opposite of that.
That would be our show. All right, what are we at? The 403, Ryan.
So I just got victory lapping. That made me completely forget where I was. Sorry. I'm keeping it super boring. Taking Odell Beckham, staying in LA. He found a home there, man. It's perfect for him. He shined in that offense. If he misses a couple games, so be it. He looked great this year, man. He had a full season there. I have no doubt he's an 1,100-yard guy in that offense.
Yep, I agree 100%. I think you're not worried about Robert Woods coming back and cutting into that workload a little bit?
I mean, Bobby Trees is Bobby Trees, but Odell's looks great, man.
Yeah.
And that offense is prolific enough. They can produce 3 fantasy relevant guys.
Yeah, I agree 100%. All right, let's do one more round here, Derek. 501.
I'm going to take Teddy Bridgewater and put him on anybody but the Broncos. Just because I don't want to see him back on my Broncos.
I was going to say they had a different motive behind that one, I think.
Yes. But plus the fact too, if Teddy Bridgewater isn't there, maybe this front office will wake up and realize that they are one of the few teams that has a legitimate way of saying that they're a quarterback away, right? They've got a top 5 defense. They have offensive pieces in place already. They're missing the guy to make the ship go.
Yep.
And so Teddy Bridgewater, as we saw, was not that guy. So taking Teddy Bridgewater and putting him on anybody but the Broncos.
That's your new superpower. Forget about visibility. You can just move players around in the NFL.
Yes.
They're all coming to Baltimore.
They're all coming to Baltimore. All right, 502, Kevin.
James Conner. I'm going to stick him back in Arizona. Let's see if they can run it back again. He was so beneficial to the success of that offense at times. And yes, you're going to have some regression on the touchdown side, obviously. But if Edmonds isn't there, maybe you see some of that made up on the yardage standpoint. But, kudos to James Conner because he definitely was flaming out in Pittsburgh, getting burnt out a little bit, and what life he found down there was great to see.
Yep, agreed. And I was just double checking to make sure, but Edmonds is on this list of free agents as well, so he could be gone for sure. And if they re-sign Connor, yeah, it's wheels up on that one. All right, Ryan, finish this out here. 503.
I'm going weird. First of all, I want to say how happy it is Mike Gesicki's still there and didn't get picked. That was dope. See, you ruined my landing spot earlier with the Jets with the player I want to take. So I want to talk about. I want to take Will Fuller. I know we've had issues with off the field injuries, but when he's on the field, he's been phenomenal. Like, he's been nothing but really good there. I originally wanted to say with the Jets because I think he'd give that field stretcher to Zach Wilson, but kind of took that one from me. So I'm going to keep him with the rookie quarterback and send him down to Jacksonville. They're losing Shark. They really need that guy on the outside to stretch the field, and he is just dude who can dominate doing that.
He can just stay on the field. That's always the thing. Yep.
If he stays on the field, he's so good. It's just staying on the field. Like, if I know he's playing, I'm super happy playing him.
Yep.
But the thing is, you never know.
You never know. Yeah, he's one of those players that you just wish he can have a whole season just to see what he can do.
It was between him and Jameis, and I couldn't do it. I couldn't do a quarterback without a team who may not start.
Yeah, good call. All right, are you tired of vague and misleading injury reports costing you games? Well, Going for Two's own injury analyst, Dr. James Freddy, wants to help. With his book, Injuries Suck, But Your Fancy Team Doesn't Have to, the doc will show you a clear approach to player injuries, media reports, and coach speak, as well as how to anticipate and act quickly when injuries strike. Available for purchase on Amazon, or you can use his link on his Twitter profile at TFSDoc. Stop guessing, start winning. All right, we're going to do some overvalued, undervalued here. We're going to be using the Underdog ADP. I think that's probably the best ADP because it's actually legit people doing real drafts right now, not mock drafts, not try to see what you can do with this and see how you can do this and try out different strategies. People are putting real money on these, so that the ADP is pretty close to accurate, at least as far as what real world people are drafting at this time of the season. And we're going to go around first. We'll do some overvalued first here. And I'll start off with you first, Ryan. What you got for your overvalued guys?
I'm taking a wide receiver. He only played 10 games last year, but he never hit 100 yards. He only eclipsed 75 yards once. And he's wide receiver 13 and 30th overall in DeAndre Hopkins.
Ooh.
We kind of talked about before where this offense spreads the ball around as well as anybody else. And the targets just weren't there because he was healthy at the beginning of the season.
Yep.
And he only saw double-digit targets once.
And he was very touchdown dependent. If he didn't get you touchdowns, he wasn't getting you what you needed.
I mean, we got 54 yards, 21 yards, like 32 yards. There's some really bad games where he just disappeared. And he's getting older. He's going to be 30 by the time the season starts. Like,
yeah,
I think we're overvalued Nuke. I love Nuke. It was a great run, dude. But top 5, just right outside top 12, hard pass.
Yeah, I agree. You think he's not so much from an injury standpoint, but you think he's this year's Julio Jones, where Julio was drafted right in that same range last year, and he completely fell out of the top 50 at that point.
I mean, I think he's DeAndre Hopkins. He's still this year's DeAndre Hopkins. He's the same. Disappointed last year. Probably gonna do it again.
Fair. All right, Derek, what do you got for one of your overvalued guys?
So an overvalued guy that I've got is a guy being taken right at the turn on most of these drafts, and it's running back number 7 off the board in most cases. It's Devonte Williams. I do believe that the Broncos are going to bring back. I really do think that they'll end up bringing back Melvin Gordon on this one. We'll see a similar timeshare. Plus the fact right now, too, there's still a lot of question marks about what this offense is going to look like this year with a new coaching staff. Big question marks around what the quarterback and who the quarterback is going to be. So there's a lot of question marks on this one. And if I'm drafting a guy with right there at a turn type of pick, and I'm drafting a quarterback inside the top 10 running backs off the board, I want a guy that is going to be known, that I feel very confident is going to have that bell cow type of workload, and I just don't see that happening with Devonte Williams this year.
All right, and this is coming from a Broncos fan too.
It is coming from a Broncos fan.
Take that how you will. I'm probably responsible for that semi high ADP because I'm in I've already done my 9th best ball league already. I said Devonte Williams at 102 in one of them, so that might have raised up his ADP a little bit.
And you want to know why you're 163?
All right, so we're just gonna move on from that. Kevin, what you got for one of your guys?
I might have a lot of people start sending me hate mail on this one. Really, a couple of these, but Christian McCaffrey is being overvalued right now. Like the guy's played 10 games in 2 seasons, and the problem is these are soft tissue injuries, guys. Like these are not injuries like he broke his leg and your bone heals back better, or a reconstructed knee, anything like that. A lot of these hamstring, quad, nagging injuries that he has not been able to shake out. So right now he's going as RB2. I really think people should be kind of in that Devonte Williams mode, right? You should be grabbing him at the back end or at the turn between the first and the second round, but not taking him second overall.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100% there. That's a good call, because Christian McCaffrey, I own him in one of my dynasty leagues, and those 10 games in 2 seasons, I mean, it's even less than that, because a few of those games he started and didn't finish, so you could probably say it's even less than 10 games, really.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree 100% there. So my overvalued guy, and I went with I guess I don't know if you can do this as a homer pick, because I'm picking it in the opposite way here, but I took Trey Lance. He's being drafted over Aaron Rodgers. He's being drafted over Jalen Hurts. He's being drafted over Matthew Stafford. I mean, I get it. He has the Konami code ability, but we haven't really seen that yet. And this offense is a running offense, really. He's not going to be throwing the ball a ton. I know he has the legs to put up some fancy points, but I haven't seen it yet, and I don't know if I trust it yet. So then there's rumors now that Jimmy G could possibly be coming back, and they'll keep him on the bench for one more season. So yeah, Trey Lance is being drafted way too high. I think he's going as a sixth round pick right now in ADP. So yeah, no thanks. I will pass on Trey Lance. Let's do one more overvalued, and then we'll do some undervalued guys. Ryan, give me an overvalued guy.
I'm going with a wide receiver who in 2 seasons has hit double-digit targets twice, and he's hit over 100 yards twice in 2 seasons, and he's wide receiver 33 right now, and that's Gabriel Davis.
I knew it.
Like, we are, as a fantasy community, we are so, like, the last thing we saw was him go for 200 yards. He's not doing it all the time. Guess what? Stephon Diggs is still there. He's a superstar receiver. The week before, they used Isaiah McKenzie all over the field as their slash position, gave him targets. Dawson Knox had games where he blew up. Outside of Stephon Diggs, that offense is whoever's open. In that game in the playoffs, he was wide open the entire time. Yeah. He was like, dudes were falling down trying to cover it. It didn't even make sense. Like, we're jumping the gun, man. Wide receiver 33 is a little bit rich.
Yeah, I almost
like you're saying you're getting picked there, saying you're almost saying you have to start him every week.
Yep.
And be comfortable with it. I'm not.
Yep. I mean, I think the talent is there. I think if he got the opportunity to be like a guy that got a ton of targets, he could definitely be that. But in that offense, similar to the Cardinals, they spread it around a lot. A lot of guys in that offense got targets, and that's just not going to be there week in and week out. So I agree there. All right, Derek, what you got for overrated?
So one that was an overrated guy for us last year, and we were the opposite, it seemed, of the fantasy industry, telling folks to stay away from this guy because he was being overdrafted where he was going last year. And I don't see that. And actually his ADP moved up this year looking at that. And that is one Mr. Kyle Pitts out of the tight end position. And I know that that's going to be one that I'm sure we'll see some DMs about that one here shortly. But yeah, right now he's being the tight end number 3 drafted off the board, overall of 29.2. So very early in the third round type of pick there. And when you look at it, right, he didn't return the value on a 4th tight end overall last year. Not going to return I don't see him returning value on the overall 3rd tight end off the board here. There's some other guys that are going later that I think you're going to get some better value on anyway. Now, is his ability great? Yep. Is he going to put up some very good numbers? Yes. But that Atlanta offense has some serious holes around it, right? We still don't know who is going to be playing wide receiver there really for them. Running back is a big question mark for them. Matt Ryan did not look like a shell of himself this past year. And so I don't see that really changing much here. And, tight ends typically take 3 years to really come in and develop. This is going to be year 2. So that's kind of where that is for me. I just think that he's going to be overvalued this year.
Yeah, I agree. I think he had a great season for a rookie tight end for NFL standards, and he had a decent season for fantasy as well. But yeah, you say he's tight end 3 right now. That's way too high. There are so many more guys. If we're talking dynasty, maybe, but this is redraft basically. This is like best ball. So yeah, no thanks on that on tight end 3 for Pitts. All right, Kevin, what you got?
Another running back where there is a love affair for this guy for some reason that I'm just not buying into. For another year, Derek and I caught a lot of crap about this guy last year.
You're not kidding.
And we're going back to the well because I think it's true. And that's Saquon Barkley. Like Saquon Barkley is currently the 12th running back off the board, right at the 2-3 turn. So 25th overall. Saquon Barkley cannot stay healthy. Saquon Barkley looks so slow, guys. I mean, if you watch some of those Giants games, he just looks slow. The poor guy doesn't have any burst left. People want to bag on Zeke, for example, just because it's in the same conference, right? Zeke's slowing down. Zeke can't do this. Zeke at least plays all these games.
Yeah.
You at least get 15 or 16 games out of Zeke. Saquon, you might get 6, you might get 10, but you're not getting 16. That's been established now. And to go 6 spots higher than a running back who actually plays all these games, who will score higher than Saquon in fantasy in this upcoming season, even in more of a timeshare with Tony Pollard. Saquon is drastically overvalued at this point.
Yeah, he's actually on my list as well. And what's that saying? The best ability is availability. And that's one thing that Barkley cannot give you. I have written down on my sheets here that I'd rather have Antonio Gibson going later than him. Cam Akers I'd rather have than over Saquon Barkley. Even David Montgomery, who's getting the volume and stays healthy, I'd rather have him over Saquon Barkley as well. So I'm with you on that one. And Ryan took my other one too. I had Gabe Davis on my list as well. As much as I love Gabe Davis, I was trying to buy him everywhere before the playoffs happened. I was trying to get him. I could not get him anywhere. And then, of course, he goes and blows up, and now he's too much. I can't afford him anymore, so I'll just go without Gabe Davis this season.
Jeff, do you want to talk shit on my last one I wrote down for you? But I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to let you defend it.
Let me defend it?
No, I'm going to let you tell everybody why he's overrated.
Okay, go ahead. Give it to me.
T. Higgins. Go for it, Jeff.
Why he's overrated?
Yeah, wide receiver 10. Tell me why.
Wide receiver 10 is what he's 8. That's crazy. I like T. Higgins, and I wouldn't take him at 10. That's crazy. I don't have any stats on him, but yeah, I mean, you got
10.
Yeah, that's crazy. You got Jamar Chase there. I mean, the offense is good, but I don't know if you're going to have 2.
Chase is 2.
Yeah, so I know you're not going to have 2 top 10 receivers in that offense. I don't see it happening. I mean, the offense is good. It's not that good.
That's so high.
Yeah,
I love T. Higgins, but 10.
Yeah, I love T. Higgins too, but 10 is way too high for me. I agree.
Yeah, that's pricey.
All right, Ryan, let's start off the undervalued here. Give me one of your undervalued guys.
I'm going to have to go homer on this one. I'm going to do it first. It's J.K. Dobbins. So the Ravens this year had 2,479 rushing yards with Devonta Freeman as their leading rusher. Who just kind of moseyed on for little 4-yard carries every single time. It was slow. It was boring. It was absolutely terrible watching him run there and painful. Dobbins back when he was healthy before he blew his knee out. He was averaging 6.1 a carry. Baltimore has these gaping holes because of fear of Lamar rushing. They're going to be getting Ronnie Stanley back. They're probably going to make offensive line improvements. They've already said that's the priority in the offseason. He's going to have huge holes with that explosive rushing ability. Dude, him at running back 17 is a freaking steal.
Yeah.
He has top 5 potential in that offense because of how much they run. The year before, when it was him and Mark Ingram, they ran for 3,071 yards, which is absurdity.
Absurd.
And that's what the team tried to do. They just didn't have the talent this year.
Yeah, they have I heard the argument with Gus Edwards. I do think he gets hit, but
Gus Edwards is going to get 750 yards. He gets it every single season he starts. But Dobbins can still rush for 1,100 and catch for 250, 300 with that.
Yep. I love Dobbins. I've been trying to buy him too cheap, but everyone's not giving up on Dobbins. They kind of like him, but this ADP says otherwise. All right, let's go to you, Derek. What do you have for one of your underrated guys?
I've got another running back that also coming off of an injury here, a rookie that missed out on all of last season. We didn't get a chance to see him, but Travis Etienne right now is the running back number 20 coming off the board overall of a 52.9 as far as ADP goes. Now, when you look at it, that Jacksonville offense was anemic and awful last year. I don't think we're going to see. I don't think they can be as bad as they were last year, this year. So they're at the rock bottom, sitting in the cellar, and there's only room to go up from here. Other things to look at that as well, right? Like he is going to have that backfield to himself. James Robinson is not going to be an issue with the Achilles injury late in the season. Travis Etienne already coming back, looking at reports saying that he's about 80 to 85% this early on, and the expectations are for him to be 100% ready to go by training camp. And so the fact that he will be fresh, he'll be ready to go. I would expect the timeline from a lot of rookies having to come in and the game slow down for them a little bit. Him having been through a offseason, been through some of that, I don't see that being the issue there. So I think Travis Etienne is going to have a monster season this year.
Yeah, I love ETN as well. He's somebody that I was trying to buy cheap, and again, people that own him don't want to give him up cheap because they know what's coming. All right, Kevin, what you got for your underrated?
I'm going to go with Ryan Tannehill. So, obviously, the Julio Jones experiment was kind of a flop, but the guy loses Derrick Henry. A.J. Brown's only playing half the games, but when A.J. Brown's healthy, we saw how much more dynamic Tannehill was. He was throwing to nobody last year. They didn't have any type of a play-action game, so the use of his legs from the year before went completely out the window. They tried to fill some tight end holes, but I think they used 6 or 7 different tight ends throughout the course of the season because they couldn't keep anybody healthy or find anybody to catch the ball. So right now he's coming off the board at 135th overall. It's QB 18.
Wow.
I'm not going to say he's top 10 or going to finish as a QB1, but he's going to be right there on that cusp, right? Like I think he's going to be somewhere in that 14 to 12 range by the time this season's done and over with. So you get a big discount if you're waiting on quarterback, if you're willing to take a shot on Tannehill.
Take a shot. Yeah, I like it. I have him in my dynasty league too, and he disappointed me this year, but I do think he can definitely get back to form here when he got all his weapons there. He actually looked pretty good. All right, so the guy I'm going to go with here is going to be Mr. TJ Hawkinson. If you look at the ADP on these tight ends here, the top 4 there are within like the 30s, and then when you get to Hawkinson, it drops off to all the way down to 69, which is almost into the 6th round. Last year, he was tight end 6 in points per game. He only had 4 touchdowns. I think the touchdowns can definitely go up this year if he stays healthy. I think he has a chance to sneak into the bottom part of that elite tier of tight ends in his career. I think he has that ability. Jared Goff kind of holds him back a little bit, but I do think that he can have the ability to move up there. And I think at almost the 6th round, I know I don't draft tight ends very early, very often anyway, but I do think that if we're going to draft a tight end that high, I think Hawkinson deserves to be a little bit higher up there. Ryan, what you got for your underrated?
I'm like, are we just doing one more? Or are we doing 2 more?
We could do 2 more. We got time.
Okay, I'm going to go with this guy first. I'm going to go with Chris Godwin. I know he's a free agent, and we don't know where he's going to go. I doubt that he is franchised 2 years in a row, and Brady's not there. He probably doesn't sign there, but he's going to get paid. And we've seen he had another quiet 1,100-yard season this year. 2 years ago, he had 1,300 in just 14 games. He's been nothing but produce when he's on the field. And he could easily go to a team and be their number 1 receiver and just be a volume hog. And he's going right now crazy low. He is wide receiver 24 and 54 in ADP. Put that in perspective, he is behind Amon-Ra St. Brown, Elijah Moore, and Tyler Lockett. Wow. Are we serious? Like
crazy.
He's only 26 years old. Even if this is dynasty, are you serious?
That's crazy.
Dude, he's a steal there.
It's because of the injury. People are afraid to draft injured players. Like I guarantee that's what it is.
fuck it. He's so good still.
Oh, I agree.
I like that.
Yeah.
Derek, what you got?
So mine is Cortland Sutton is the guy that I'm going with here on this one, right? He's a big body receiver, 6'4", frame on him. The Broncos re-signed him to a big long-term deal.
Homer pick.
A little bit, but that also speaks to the organization, believing in this guy and going through on that one. Currently going at wide receiver 45 off the board, overall of a 98, which puts him at the beginning of an 8th round pick there. But at wide receiver 45, you're drafting him at his floor, his absolute rock bottom floor. For those of us that watch the Broncos know that you couldn't have misused Cortland Sutton any worse than you did last year, in which he finished at wide receiver 44. So even if he has as awful of a season as he had last year, he's still going to return value for you at the pick there. So this is one of those that he is going to be incredibly undervalued, this one, and I'm looking forward to him doing big things this year.
Yeah, he had that really, really big game this year. I can't think of what week it was. And I had just traded him, and I'm like, man, I shouldn't have traded him away. Of course, he didn't do much after that, but I think he kind of gave us a glimpse of what he's capable of doing.
I had him like written down. It's like my guys who I was talking about.
Yeah, that's a good one. I like it. Kevin, what you got?
I'm torn between the two here. Which one I'm going to go first? So I'll go with this one. Mike Evans. I think Mike Evans is being undervalued, and I don't care if they don't know who's throwing him the ball there in Tampa Bay. Like, he's going off the board at 41 overall, wide receiver 18. Like, if nothing else, we know that Mike Evans catches touchdowns and goes for 1,000 yards.
Yeah,
but Mike Evans is underrated every year.
Absolutely.
He is consistently underrated.
I would agree. In my notes right here, I said, what more does this guy have to do to prove he is elite? Like,
yeah.
And
he had some records, like most 1,000-yard seasons road to start a career or something. Yeah. And we don't care. Nobody cares.
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
And I don't
broke
think
his own record. He broke the record last year, and then this year he broke his own record. He extended his own record.
And I don't think it matters if it's Blaine Gabbert or Tom Brady comes back, or if they stick someone else under center. That 6'4" frame and the ability that he has to still get behind a defense on top of his red zone prowess, like that is wide receiver gold, especially for fantasy football.
It hasn't mattered to him before. I mean, he was getting 1,000-yard seasons before with some pretty bad quarterbacks early in his career. So I think definitely he's always underrated for sure. All right, let's go around again. Y'all took all of mine. So Ryan, give me one of your underrated guys.
I'm going with Aaron Jones. Right now, he's going RB16 at 49 overall, so he's kind of close to that 5th round mark. I know we have a lot of question marks. Is Aaron Rodgers coming back? Obviously, we saw A.J. Dillon ball out last year. But I think it's a win-win either way. Aaron Rodgers is there. Aaron Jones is his second favorite target in the passing game. He gets heavy targets. We saw him get double-digit targets in the playoff game. And we saw in the stretch down there 6+ multiple times. So he's going to get his volume there. He gets red zone looks still. If Aaron Rodgers is gone, you really think they're going to let Jordan Love throw the ball 40 times a game? No, they're going to pound the ball so much with Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon to protect their young quarterback. Oh, who can do the zone read and adds that fear of running to pull pressure off of them? Like, he's a good back, and he still hasn't really plateaued yet. Especially with his receiving ability, he's fantasy value at that 16th spot.
I agree. He should be in that closer to a RB1 than he is RB2.
He's behind David Montgomery, Cam Akers, Saquon Barkley. Like, there's a lot to do there for him.
Agreed. All right, Derek, give us one last underrated guy.
One last underrated guy. We mentioned him briefly earlier, and a lot of that has to do with how he kind of performed early on, got hurt towards the back half of the season, and we really didn't get to see him finish out. But he is a guy that his quarterback hyper targets him, especially early on in the season. We saw that several times there, and that's Corey Davis, who is wide receiver 53. Overall of 117.3. So again, this is one of those that even if he doesn't drastically outperform that, you're still going to be getting value on that. And quite frankly, in a best ball type of format there, all you're necessarily looking for is those 1 or 2 splash games from a guy like that, where you're not necessarily needing him to uncork and go off every single week and get you the consistency. You're really looking for a guy that's going to have 1 to 2, decently big games for that. And something like last year, he delivered on that. In week 1, he was the wide receiver 5 overall at half-point PPR scoring. And in week 4, he's the wide receiver 7 overall on the week. And so if I'm drafting a guy at 117th off the board and he returns 2 top 10 wide receiver weeks for me, that's more value than I could have hoped for.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Jeff got so excited when you say Corey Davis.
Yeah, I was just gonna say
That's
it's like our show mascot.
Jeff, I think he's your number 1 prospect of all time. He might have been like your biggest draft crush you ever had.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Long term, just not quitting him.
Yeah, because N'Keal Harry was up there too, but N'Keal Harry I gave up pretty quickly. I gave up after a year.
Corey Davis, he always did just enough to just drag Jeff along.
He did. I used to always point to the games he had against the Patriots. He used to always kill the Patriots for the 2 games a year, playoff game and then 1 regular season game. And I was like, oh yeah, he could just do that every game. He'd be awesome. But I love me some Corey Davis. Can't give him up yet, but so I hope you're right on that one. All right, Kevin, what you got?
Going back to the wide receiver here, and we talked about him briefly earlier on the free agent draft, but Allen Robinson. I think Allen Robinson is being drastically undervalued because of a terrible season with a rookie quarterback who really struggled to read the field. He's currently going at just under 91st overall, wide receiver 43. And I get that he's not as dynamic as, your Tyreek Hills, your Devontae Adams, your DK Metcalfs. But what he does is he provides a safe, good environment for a quarterback to get his feet underneath him. And so in PPR or half-point PPR leagues, you should see that return to you easily just on that. He's not a big touchdown guy, but he runs good routes. He has good hands, and he's not a complainer, right? Like you never see anything about Allen Robinson screaming about wanting more targets or that he's not getting his fair share or anything like that. He goes out, he's a pro's pro, and I think you'll see him bounce back up inside wide receiver 2 territory this season.
Yeah, I like that call. So I live here in Washington, D.C., and there's a lot of talk about, who the next quarterback's going to be here. And they've thrown out all the free agents and is it Jimmy G? Is it going to be, that they can get Deshaun Watson somehow? But someone brought up Mitch Trubisky could possibly be coming here. And they mentioned Allen Robinson in that same sentence. So if you put those 2 back together again and he's targeting the hell out of them, yeah, it's wheels up. But I agree. I love Allen. I bought him cheap in a few of my leagues already because the hate just kind of swung too far the other direction. With the way he played this season, I do think that you can get him at a good value right now, and he should have a good bounce back season, I believe.
Hey, Jeff, don't worry. Teddy Bridgewater is available for your Commanders. So,
it's not my team. I just live here. I'm a 49ers fan, so I hear it on the radio every morning on the way to work. So I always kind of chime in there with the local media is talking about here. All right, let's get to the last segment.
Get ready for GoingFor2.com's Forgotten Fantasy Player of the Week.
All right. It's not often that we have more than one guest on here, so we're going to have 2 forgotten players this week. Derek, I'm going to start with you here.
So I'm going to take you all the way back to the first of the year in 2012 when a guy, starting just one game, came off the bench in relief of a quarterback named Aaron Rodgers, who was on the bench because the Packers had already clinched the number 1 seed that year. And one Mr. Matt Flynn decided to throw for only, 31 completions on 44 targets, uncorked for 480 yards through the air and 6 touchdowns.
6 touchdowns, yes.
And won me the Good Old Boys Fantasy Football Championship on the back of Matt Flynn starting that roster over our co-host that couldn't make it tonight, Alex. But every chance that I get a chance to relive that moment, and just
how did you have the balls to start him?
Wait a second. There's something more important that happened.
Oh, they had a Week 17 championship.
Yes, we had a Week 17 championship.
No,
yes.
It's been fixed.
No, you used this forgotten player last time you were on the show.
It can never be used too much. Because
I didn't know
glory
that.
was that good.
No, dude.
You want another one?
Can't
I'll get you another one. I'll give you one after Kevin.
The fact I remembered this is a miracle to God. I'm so sorry. But
So,
I have no memory, but
well,
I thought for
that
sure
just-
you going to the Week 17 championship.
That just
Yep.
speaks to how magnificent that 480 and 6 touchdown performance was, that you remembered it off of the regaling of my tale from a year ago. So
Yeah.
250 episodes. I can't believe I remembered it.
you're welcome.
But I remember the rage on his face when you were telling the story because it had me howling. That's the reason I remember this.
That's
Yes.
awesome. Yeah.
And to answer the question on how I had the gumption to actually play him, I was a heavy underdog on that one and was just looking for I was looking for ceiling and just swinging for the fences. And Matt Flynn was the home run hit.
That is awesome. That might be one of the best stories I've heard in a while. I love it. All right, Kevin, you got to follow that up, man. Give me your forgotten fantasy player.
Mine's not. I don't have quite the epic story with that, but I feel like my forgotten fantasy player is Aryan Foster for a short stint. Right, it was a 3-year stint, but he was the only running back in the league that could challenge Adrian Peterson as kind of the best back in the league back when AP was in his prime and Foster was doing his thing. So I was able to get my hands on Aryan Foster. I guess his sophomore season. Right, he's still a little not well known, playing for a Texans team that has Andre Johnson and Matt Schaub, and that's all they're really talking about. And grabbed Aryan Foster midway through the draft, and just that first game against the Colts, busted out, I think it was 3 touchdowns and 147 yards, something like that. And it just rode him solid for 3 years until soft tissue injuries and an overall lack of work ethic caught up with him, and then he had to go elsewhere.
Yeah, I love Aryan Foster. He's one of my early success stories. I drafted him actually the last pick, and no one knew who he was. And neither did I, quite honestly. I had read something on a camp note about him. I was like, let me just draft him. He's just there, and ended up taking me to the championship that year as my RB1. So yeah, great call on that one. All right, let's wrap the podcast up. We'll go around the room. Give us your Twitter handle. I know y'all both had the same Twitter handle, but if you want to plug anything as well, we'll go to you first, Kevin.
You can find us at Good Old Boys FF on Twitter. Derek again handles most of those socials, but we'll pop in from time to time, and then just stay tuned for the content coming out. www.goodoldboysff.com. We have some things coming up here on the website in the off season. Again, rankings, some draft analysis coming up, so it'll be a good off season.
Good stuff,
Yeah.
Derek.
Yeah, so absolutely. You can find us on the socials, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and now TikTok at Good Old Boys FF. One of the best ways to help support our show is to go to the YouTube channels and Good Old Boys Fantasy Football Podcast YouTube channel. Click the subscribe button. Kevin mentioned it earlier. We do go live during the offseason. We're doing live shows Tuesday, 11 p.m. Eastern. And as we get into the season, we'll pick that up and start getting into 3 episodes a week again. And again, just want to tell you guys, thanks so much for having us. This was a blast. Always a great time getting to talk to y'all.
Definitely. Yeah. Last time I missed the show, so I was glad to get y'all back on the show this time. I forget why I missed it. I was sick, or I don't know. Who knows what happened, but
You're being a sissy.
I probably was. All right, Ryan, what you got?
Find me here Wednesday night. Find me on Twitter at Foss534. Find me over at the Sports Illustrated Draft Bible. We have our podcast, Dynasty Draft Room, comes out Wednesday mornings. And doing some player profiles here at Going for Two with hitting the rookies hard. And love to talk rookies with anybody, so always feel free to reach out.
Yeah, good stuff. As always, guys, you can follow me on Twitter at JeffLambert77. Make sure you check out all of our shows on the Going for Two Live Network. We've got a show pretty much every night of the week. We got you covered from every angle, from the betting angle to Dynasty to redraft. I mean, we got it all. We even have some pop culture stuff, some NBA stuff on Tuesday nights with the guys from Speak On It, do some NBA stuff. So check us out on all the sites, goingfor2.com, the website, and then obviously on YouTube at Going for Two Live. All right. For Kevin, for Derek, for Ryan, I'm Jeff. We will see y'all next week.